And I don't think anybody can really prescribe a solution to you, sir. It's a good question, but no answer. Not from here.
Dr. Petrinos, are governments willing to make more money available from your experience, or are they cutting back? We're looking really at the developing world.
Well, the fear when the last global recession began was that social services would be cut. But what we found in most countries is that there's been a constant maintenance of education spending throughout the world. In fact, several governments have taken the financial crisis as a reason to reform the system, meaning putting more resources into education. We see this around the world. So it's been a pleasant surprise in many countries to see that education remains a priority and governments are making resources available. And we see this in Asia, in Africa, and many other countries. The governments have provided more resources over the years to fulfill national and international commitments to educate everyone, and these programs are being maintained. I think the challenge is coming as more and more of these children go through the system, finish primary school, go to secondary school. Then you have a bigger resource constraint because these are more expensive levels of schooling and a different kind of management issue. So the challenges are still there, but so far governments have been very committed to the goal of education.
Christopher, how would you address this conundrum, if you like? Because on the one hand, do we look at education as, in some cases, a private enterprise, or is it a right? Not only a right, but absolutely necessary for economic development for a country. So whatever resources you put into education, you are definitely going to get back out of it as a whole. Well,
I mean, I think we're being slightly pessimistic here. Actually, there may be something we can do. Egypt is a curious case because it is famously a place that has excellent teachers, right? I mean, if you meet an Egyptian in another country, what profession will you guess that they do, right? But it also has a peculiar position because it has very high numbers of people who are very well credentialed with lots of qualifications who may not be very well educated. So there's something funny about the Egyptian sort of education system, and I wonder whether, I mean, one of the things we do know about the school systems is that one good teacher is incredibly valuable, and in fact it's better to have a class with 50 kids in it and one really good teacher than two classes of half the size with two not very good teachers. So I don't know whether this is one of the things that the world should perhaps be moving to is oddly a world where there are fewer teachers but better teachers. And I don't know, I can't tell you about I don't know enough to tell you whether that should be something that Egypt's thinking about, that maybe the solution is bigger classrooms, higher paid teachers as a way of squaring the circle. The other thing that's happening a lot in the developed world, so in the UK and the US in particular, is that schools that have fixed salaries for teachers are increasingly having the fixed salary system broken away. So in England at the moment, half of all the secondary schools are charter schools. They're what we call academies. So the head teacher has the power to set his own salary. And that's really important because it means that if you find a really good teacher, you can just whack up their pay and keep them, and maybe increase the size of the class too, as a way of balancing the books. So, I mean, there is financial innovation sort of capacity in the school system if you're willing to change the way that the school works overall. And that might mean technology, that might mean using new teaching aids, and so you can increase, so that teachers can be more productive and take on bigger classes.
Thank you, Christopher. We have a number of hands up, and not very much time. So I would suggest, and I hope the producer doesn't kill me for this, that we take 2 questions and then 2 more questions, and then we try and answer those questions as much as we can. So shall we go here first, please?
Thank you. I'd like to thank the panel for sharing their thinking with us this morning. My name is Michael Da Costa-Bab. I work with a startup called schools.com, that's 5 O's, social networking software. I have some issues about the nature of education in the future. Urbanism is growing. There's a buzzword, smart cities, okay? So my issue, my question is, how smart can education be?
Thank you very much. I think that's an excellent question.
Yeah.
How smart can education be? I'm sorry to cut you off,
Yes, okay.
but I need to go to another. I'll take a question there, number 2, please.
Good morning. Andrew Short, representing one of these revolting for-profit organisations described this morning, GEMS Education to be precise, a branch called Education Solutions. One of the things that I'd like to comment on is there needs to be a philosophical and perhaps pedagogical shift in our thinking away from education is a right, but education as a free right. One of the things that for-profit organisations can bring to a public-private partnership that we've been able to demonstrate was operational efficiency and access at $500 a year for a private school offering to $35,000 a year to a private school offering, where both students have access to achieving and getting into well-renowned universities such as Harvard. I guess the key question that I have, in support of my Egyptian colleague over in the corner, in terms of its quality teaching, whether it's free or paid. When you receive something for free, often you take it for granted. And what we're finding with our interactions as a private organisation that has a long quality track record, when we are engaging with governments, is their free provision to their communities is not well managed. There is wastage, there is bureaucracy, and it doesn't increase the levels of the students' achievements that they want. By engaging with a private for-profit organisation that is driven by making a profit which it then chooses to reinvest, whether it's through its philanthropic organisation or equity funding and growing, those operational efficiencies provide the results. So I want to hear the panel's thoughts on governments engaging more with for-profit organisations with quality track records, fund them directly through that voucher system, albeit directly giving them the money that they would provide to students in their communities to build brick and mortar or innovative online solutions to raise the standards.
Oh, thank you very much. But before you answer, we've got two questions so far, very, very different. We'll go to the back of the hall, please. Can you keep your questions brief so that we have time to answer it?
I am Dr. Amjad Ali from Pakistan, Professor of Education at university. The role of private sector, there is no second opinion that private sector is playing a very effective role in the development and promotion of school education and higher education. But what I have seen that in low income and lower middle income countries, the private sector is contributing to the gender gap. Parents, they prefer to send female students to the public sector institutions while their male children to the private sector. Is there any solution for this problem? The question number one. Question number two, that how can ICTs be used in an innovative ways to reduce the expenditure and to find the new resources for higher education? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're coming to the final question here, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jean-Paul Mbuyamba, and I'm from the Republic of the Congo, the DRC. And I don't really have a question. It's more a contribution or a comment to what the panelists have been talking this morning.
Can I ask you to make it very short?
Sure,
so
I'll
give
make
the panel a
it less
chance
than a
to
minute.
respond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As you all know, we are in a very fragile state and a post-conflict country. And among the many challenges that we had after the war was to increase the quality of education. And to that, we have to deliver more than 6 million textbooks to our kids. And the government didn't have enough resources to do so. The local NGOs and other partners could not help in that manner. So we had to find an initiative way, a new ways of thinking. And that comes the partnership, the public-private partnership. which we call a win-win situation. Win-win because the students get very cheap books at the same price all across the country. The government is satisfied because all the kids get the book at a very low price, and that's also increased the quality of education. Plus, the kids get textbooks which are approved, of course, by the government. And the private sector also is happy because they get the money. That's private sectors.
Can I interrupt you for a second? If you just tell me very quickly, has this worked?
Of course.
How long has it been going on?
It's been going for the past year, and this year, in 2012, it started a new operation again, and it's working very, very good.
Thank you very much. We've got, I think, two questions. One is about smart teaching, which is your baby, and also using cities developing to close this very unfortunate gender gap, which I'd never actually thought of. So you have, what, 15 seconds?
Very few seconds. I think the only way to address all the problems raised is to realize that there is a revolution called the knowledge revolution, to move into digital education, online education. Instead of printing books and shipping them, it is cheaper to read them online. It is cheaper to deliver them online. Instead of building rooms and classes, stop building universities and stop building schools. Use the technologies of information, make it accessible and affordable. You take it from the end and you solve the problem, because if you look at the children under 10, I don't see any of them reading a book or reading a newspaper. They are always on the net and they are always online. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Abu-Ghazaleh. You have the first word, you have the last word. And that brings us to the end of this debate. And I will ask you once again, join. I'm very sorry if we could not take your questions. I know that many of you are very keen to ask questions, but please.
We'll talk to her privately.
Exactly.
We'll talk to you in private.
They will talk to you in private. So thank you very much. And now I will ask you to please give a warm thank you to our panel.
And on behalf of the panel, I want to thank our moderator for an excellent job. He has done a job better than any of us.
Oh, thank you very much. But please don't leave. We have something else. The speakers will leave the stage, but somebody else will be coming onto the stage, and I will announce that. So please remain sitting where you are. Thank you. Shukran. Thank you very much.